也从来对我没有爱。可是他最使我苦恼、气愤和悲哀。
Announced through the PlayStation Showcase almost a month ago. Number one, first time I think we're mentioning it here, we've got a brand new Unreal Engine 5 project in the making called XSX, or maybe Exilech, a technically Chinese developed and the first work of its team too, first-person shooter and a hack and slasher, then even a PC exclusive. It's the only trailer so far, and you should know this thing is in its very, very early stages of development. Next up, it's the long-awaited Arrowhead Studios sequel to a 7-year-old top-down shooter, a game called Helldivers. The new game over here, Helldivers 2, simply is coming to PCs and the PlayStation 5 only by the end of the year. It's a third-person shooter, if you missed it, that mixes the game Returnal, PlayStation 5 exclusive, this science fiction game, with another upcoming called Arc Raiders. Check it out, this is how it really looks.
Play the game. My favorite stratagem in Helldivers 2 is the Gatling Sentry. A killing machine unleash its devastating firepower into a swarm of enemies is truly a wondrous sight with this new third-person perspective.
The mission you're playing is a big part of choosing your strategies. My name is Michael Eriksson and I'm a game director at Arrowhead Game Studios. If you're facing off against a heavily armored foe, you want to bring specialized armor-penetrating weapons. But if you're blowing up a bug hive, make sure to bring orbital barrages or other highly explosive stratagems.
The armor system that we've developed in the game is inspired by real firearms fired against armored targets. So this means that a shot at a shallow angle will get deflected and not penetrate the intended target.
Number 3 from the same team behind Dragon Ball games, hence the resemblance you'll witness in a second. We've got ever since last month the open world adventure going by the name Sandland. It's a action adventure quite a bit inspired by the company's previous works, with cel-shaded graphics set in a huge desert in a post-apocalyptic time era. Here's a trailer. This game's set to be coming to PCs and all consoles as well early next year.
It doesn't matter who you are, what you've done, or where you came from.
Number 4 With a new trailer over here finally, we have Arc Raiders, which is coming from the same team of veterans in charge of 2 more upcoming games, all AAA. One is called Creative Playground, the other one is The Finals. Arc Raiders over here, however, amongst the bunch, is a extraction-style shooter, originally announced as a co-op PvE using Unreal Engine 5. This game is in its beta phase now for PCs and the next generation of consoles only, releasing fully later this year.
You're the one living with the choices you make. There are no rules out there. So watch your back.
大丈夫か？
お待たせしてしまって。
Sega and developers Ryu Studios just released a new trailer revealing more on story, cast, combat, and locations of Like a Dragon, Gaiden, the man who erased his name. Not really much to talk about up here, except the game is an adventure brawler and follows the story of Kazuma. A Man Who Erased His Name will release on November 9 for the PlayStation 5, 4, Xbox consoles as well, and PCs for the price of $50.
お前の名は 俺に名はない You were surrounded by a bunch of little blue lights.
A couple of years ago, at a kind of a random event, we came across a somewhat Stalker-inspired first-person shooter too, coming from an indie developer called Pioneer. That was a cinematic trailer only and a very short gameplay trailer mixed with cinematic. Now, it's been a while since we got an update here, but a few days ago, we finally got that the game is coming to PCs eventually, early to mid next year. Not just that, but some legit gameplay showcase, and it's actually an MMORPG in nature.
It is extraordinary that you survived the attack of the tide. It would have turned anyone in your place into a fallen or a pile of ashes. But as you see, that didn't happen to you. You are safe and sound.
So, Rookie, how are you feeling? Are you ready to prove yourself worthy? I only need those in high spirits, you know what I mean? Bright-eyed specialist in anything and everything. I'm sick and tired of whining old bastards.
Just the same as the previous one, after almost 2 years of nothing but just a cinematic trailer, we finally received some gameplay on Avowed, which is Obsidian's entertainment take on Skyrim, technically what we believed it to be, but turns out this game is even more choice-driven, like the focus is going to be specifically made on the companions that you come across, and the decisions that you make, and how the story takes yours forward. Check it out, this game is coming to PCs and Xbox consoles only early next year.
You want us to trust you. But the truth is, you scare us. The way you fight. The power you wield. The secrets you keep. You're either here to save us or destroy us.
After a major climate catastrophe caused by humans, the AIs took control of the situation in order to find a way to preserve life.
Coming up behind that, we have a stealth action-adventure game called Steel Seed. Coming in fresh, I believe, revolving around a story set 1,000 years since the human race deliberately destroyed Earth, causing the AI machines to take all means necessarily to save a number of us. We know the game is coming to PCs and next generation of consoles only early to mid next year.
Will offer you many ways to deal with the enemies. Be the silent assassin. Should you feel more aggressive, or if you screw up the stealth approach, a fast-paced and tactical combat system will allow you to unleash your combat abilities on the enemies. Don't forget the Cobb is there to help you with ranged attacks and skills. Your companion really makes the difference between life and death. If you still feel underpowered, a complex skill tree system based on challenges will allow you to expand Zoe and Cobby's passive and active abilities. The challenge system is designed to render the experience more dynamic and fun.
I began working on Ferocious a few years ago, with the idea of creating a first-person shooter in a timeless Lost World type of setting, combining all the top action with exploration and a sense of wonder.
Moving on, we have Ferocious. Previously titled Project Ferocious, since we're not really sure about the name. This is an indie first-person shooter that is being created by a single person. It's a semi-open world survival, kind of in the same vein as Far Cry games, except there's dinosaurs just all around the place. Check it out. This game's set to be released rather soon, possibly by the end of the year, hopefully, and it's on its way to PCs in the next generation of consoles only.
Environmental features, such as custom water effects and realistic vegetation. Use a mix of photo-scanned and handcrafted assets to create a world both scary and beautiful. However, there are some things waiting for you in the jungle that we couldn't find any real-world references for. So we had to improvise.
Number 9, as one of the most worthy mentions of the list here today, we've been waiting a while to talk about it, even though I think I mentioned it once, I can't remember. Dungeons of Hinterberg, which is a very stylish comic style or technically cel-shaded action RPG with a huge emphasis on social elements. Y'all remember the game Hi-Fi Rush from earlier that came out like out of nowhere? It's definitely inspired by that one, this, with a different protagonist and some puzzles to boot. Check it out, this is actually a Microsoft exclusive as well. Now, Palworld, on the other hand, finally received a new update trailer after a whole year of just nothing but just a review, and the game is now coming to PCs and Xbox consoles only as a Microsoft exclusive too, January next year. If you missed it, this game is about living a rather relaxing or pretty slow life with a bunch of creatures called pals. And just like Pokemon, you get to take, collect, train, and then breed eventually fun with them, like Harvest Moon. Check it out, this is how it works. Coming from the same folks behind Void Train, or its original Breathedge from a couple years ago, Red Ruins, the folks, just revealed its official trailer that the sequel, simply Breathedge 2, is coming to PCs only in the final quarter of 2023. If you missed it, or you missed out on the whole franchise itself, we're talking about a retro-futuristic space sim that's now amping up the whole experience in scale and replay even quality. Check it out. Number 13, it is once again Witchfire. One of the most awaited shooters of the past few years, a dark fantasy first-person shooter from the same folks who previously worked on games like Painkiller. See, Witchfire has been in development for over 8 years now. This game is now scheduled to come out finally September 20th this year and for PCs only. Here's a trailer in case you missed out all the previous ones. I mentioned this one maybe once around the same time last year. Finally, we've got over here some news on Xkiller. It's a first-person Western-themed but retro-futuristic post-apocalyptic first-person shooter, single-player game too, that has hints of the game Wild West that came out a few months ago, albeit not in a third-person but in first-person. Here's a trailer that we came across a few days ago, and the word that the game will be coming out in 2025 for PCs only.
The Monolith has stood tall since the time before written history. Its origin, a mystery. Its power, unrivaled.
Next up at number 15, we have a brand new one going by the name over here, Monolith, Requiem of the Ancients. This is an action RPG, or rather third-person action-adventure that promises a journey across a mystical world threatened by dark forces, which then it's up to you to stop the world from falling into darkness, apparently. Monolith is coming to PCs in both generation of consoles as well, Switch included, in the first quarter of 2024.
Against the darkness, and uncover the secrets of the past to save the future. In the darkness, there is light.
Her name is Clem, and she's trying to start a new life in a place far from home, traumatized from a profound mistake she made at the end of her military career.
I mentioned this one, I believe, about 2 years ago, but we've got over here with a new trailer and Pen Interactive's over-the-shoulder, one and only action game, what's called Bounty Star, which, by the way, last year we heard the voice of the game is indeed releasing in 2023, but the folks just added that the game is coming out of its early access and releasing next year. Here's a trailer. This game is actually coming to PCs, not Switch, but both generation of consoles as well. Number 17, we have Reika. From last year's indie game showcase, if you can remember, what was described then as the atmospheric base building game set in some late 19th century rural Europe that you play as a medicine witch or doctor and get to travel the countryside, collect a little bit of ingredients, craft medicine and do some magic stuff to heal. Anyway, that's pretty much all there is to it. The game is coming to PCs only early next year.
Pip, you've got loads in your flock.
The boomerang ones are the Cosmits. I have a few varieties. Then I have a Thrip and Big Henry.
And last but not least, I believe I mentioned this one too a month ago during the Pen Interactive's showcase. We're gonna look at the game Flock, a couch co-op actually, interactive puzzler that has hints of the game Sky, Children of Light. Here's a trailer. The game's been always releasing for PCs and also now into both generation of consoles as well in the final quarter of 2023.
Over by this pond in this little cup.
I'll have to move slowly so I don't spook it. maybe we shouldn't wake it up, but I'm gonna charm it.
To charm this rustic, Pip has to position herself at just the right distance from it, not too close or too far away. And her bird and the flock will sing to the creature to charm it.
Look at that. I'm going to call her Cupzilla.
Pip, check out my sheep.
Look at them, little munchers.
In flock, you have some flying sheep to look after. You leave them to graze, they get woolly, and then you use the wool to make clothes.
Did I tell you I made a sheep? I crocheted it.
Oh, I love it.
Look. I found one of the fruit things.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to charm one. Here we go.
It's a sunset sprug. We didn't find it because it wasn't sunset last time. We were looking in broad daylight.